then subscribe to the Moneyball Cards podcast on YouTube. Go to YouTube right now and search for Moneyball Cards podcast and you'll find it. Just hit subscribe and you're going to see all kinds of awesome episodes from Ryan and Jordan, really taking a deep dive into the data and statistics within the sports card market and getting some really insightful things.
I think I've found something. I think I've found a way where you can look at that ratio, the one on market movers, and kind of just kind of at first glance, you can see, hey, this card might be worth looking into.
This is episode 11 of the Moneyball Cards podcast. Ryan, I'm here with Jordan. Hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. How was your Thanksgiving?
Pretty good. Got together with the family and getting back to work, and work's been crazy. But I'm glad we can finally get this one filmed, and even for our brand Moneyball Cards, it's been kind of a big week. And if you guys haven't seen it yet, go check out Sports Card Investors Instagram, and you'll see two familiar faces talking to Jeff. So yeah, it's a crazy past 7 days.
It has been, yeah. I've been slammed with work right after the holidays, and then this weekend, of course, I'm one of those guys that runs a lot. So how to run a marathon Thanksgiving weekend, and yeah, I'm getting back into swing of things. So no card show this past weekend. Took it off the run.
Still gonna get to 52 though, right?
Yep. Right. I did 2 the weekend before, so it makes up for it.
Right, and that's all that matters. But yeah, so what'd you pick up this? I guess not over the weekend, but anything eBay purchases or anything?
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago, I wasn't on this episode, but I picked up this Alkaline, and I'm going to be talking about it a little bit later, but really sweet. It's a 1954 as a PSE6. It's a card I've wanted for a very, very long time. If you guys don't know who Alkaline is, he's about, I think, 93 or 94 WAR, hit 399 home runs, has 3,000 hits, 18-time All-Star, pretty much one of the best Tigers players of all time. Obviously, can't really compete with players like Cobb, but in the 50s, 54 set, I should say, has 3 big names in it. You have Hank Aaron, you have Ernie Banks, and Al Kaline. Personally, I think Al Kaline is the second best player in that set. I think he's better than Ernie Banks, but Ernie Banks cards, especially in a 6th grade, have exploded. Al Kaline cards have not. I was able to pick this up for $800, which was a steal.
Nice. So, yeah, my pickup, I think I showed off one of these, the National Treasures, Cyril Gahn, who's fighting for the heavyweight championship. Well, I doubled down. I got a second one. So now I have,
there you go.
Now I have 2 out of 99s. And, to top it all off, I got a out of 49 Donruss.
Is that like a canvas one, or what is that?
No, it's just out of 49. It's like a purple parallel. It was actually really cheap. It was like $15. So I was like, yeah, I'll pick it up. So just some UFC pickups. I've been really getting into the UFC cards, mainly for the reactions. I think the market's a lot different for UFC, and I talk about it a little bit with Jeff if you want to check that power lunch we had with Jeff. But basically, I said it's different for fights. A guy fights once or twice a year, and if they win, the market's going to react to that. It's not like a guy, an NBA player playing 82 games, and they have a big game. People are like, oh, whatever. If he plays 81 more games, or baseball, 162 games, people kind of, it just falls down. But a guy who just fights once or twice a year, and they go out first round, just get a knockout, people are going to react to that, and they're going to go to eBay and hopefully bump the prices up. And I think it's going to be a different market because people are looking for those reactions still in this current state. And I think we're going to find it with the UFC. But today we're going to be looking at ratios, and before you guys run away, it's not ratios that's like just something that's going to make you fall asleep. It's a ratio that's actually on market movers. It's a price to population ratio, and we're going to dive into it and see if we can find value in it. It's already been there. We talked to Jeff about it. He said he just kind of threw it there. He didn't know if it had any meaning. He just put it there, and and hopefully someone would find some value in it. So me and Ryan are going to do that. And if we can't find any value in it, we're going to try to make value out of it, or make it better, this ratio. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into it with some cards that I've looked up, and then Ryan can give his interpretation of the ratio.
Yep. And then real quick before we do that, just let you guys know that we're writing for Sports Card Investor every week. So our first article ended up getting published on Buster Posey, whether he should be in the Hall of Fame or not. Jordan, you have an article based around VORP also being published. Is that this week or next week?
They're still in the review process of it. They haven't told me exactly when it's going to be published, but it's going to come out.
Okay, so it's going to be coming out soon. So make sure to check out the description down below for this video for Posey. VORP will probably be in next week's video as well. So we're going to continue to update you guys with those articles. So you have both the visuals on here and also the full write-outs on some of the different content that we produce.
Yeah, and before I put market movers on the screen, we do have a code for 20% off. It's Moneyball. There will be a link in the description for that too. So if you guys want to, if you get interested in market movers and you want to go check it out, you can click that link.
And that helps us support the channel as well, because we have some overhead costs, and that really helps us make this a lot better. That you did all modern, because I did all vintage, so we're taking a look at two perspectives on it.
Right. So the way I see this ratio, and if you guys want to know how to get to it, if for any graded card, you look up, there will be a ratios tab here, and they only have this one ratio so far. We possibly get some added in the future. But the way I see it is price is kind of like demand, and population is kind of like supply. So it's kind of like a demand / supply ratio. And it's not perfect. It's just something to kind of guide you to whether you want to look into the card further. I see it as kind of a warning and something to look at quickly. The way I see it is, after you do the division and with the ratio, if you get a 0 point whatever, that means the population is higher than the price. So if you get a whole number like a 100 or a 50 point whatever, then maybe it's a card you want to look at. But if it's a 0 point something, then it's probably something you want to stay away from, mainly base that's being overgraded. And I put the two prime examples here with Luka 18,000. You see 0.03, and the Zion Prism PSA 10. You have 20,000, 0.01. So you have basically your demand is your price, and your supply as the population. So I picked some random cards and to see what the values would be. And the first one I picked was a Wander Franco Bowman autographed PSA 10. I actually pulled this card from a break back when these were coming out, and I was really excited about it and sold it for like $200. I should have got it graded and all that, but at the time I felt really happy about it. And even though the signature was like to the side, I don't know why he signs all of them like to the side, but the price to pop was 22, so not too many tens for that card, and even with the high price. So basically, to make this value go down, you would need one or the other: the demand to go down, or the supply to go down. With population counts, the supply can never go down, so it's always going to be going up. So mainly we're looking at demand here. So it's 22 here. So I wouldn't go straight to eBay and just buy this card, because the price of the pop ratio tells me it's 22 and it's not a 0 point whatever. It just means it's not overpopulated. There's not tons of them out there. So it might be something to look into and to possibly buy for the future, if you can afford, $3,500. And another random one was a Giannis. This isn't even a rookie card. It's just a random like veteran card, and $55 population, pretty high for that card. I don't even know why this one's being graded, but this basically is telling me stay away. And another random one was a Tua, a Kaboom, only 9 of them. And it gave me a price pop ratio of 211. So this isn't looking at talent. This isn't looking at hype or production of the player. This is just strictly demand and supply. So there's a lot of flaws to that because there's so much other stuff that can go into this formula. It's just simple, and it's something to just look at quickly. Don't use this as a way to make your purchases or sell your cards. But like to a talent wise, maybe not the best in the world. I wouldn't go buy this card, even if it tells me price pop is 211. So there are definitely flaws here. And a guy I do like in the NBA is Darius Garland. I just looked up a random Revolution PSA 9. There's only 5 of them graded, and it got $69. So 13 here. This is a card I would be interested in buying. So basically the simple way of looking at this with the modern cards, if you see the 0 point whatever, is kind of like a red flag. Stay away from it. This is being overgraded, and the demand's not keeping up with it pretty much. So that's the way to look at modern cards with this quick ratio. Ryan, how's vintage look with the price to pop ratio?
Yeah, so vintage is a lot more scarce than modern cards. We don't see 18,000 as PSA 10s. I mean, we're lucky if there's 3,000 or 4,000 on a vintage card. And because of the low pop on those, you're mostly going to get solid numbers with those. I saw a few different ways, which I think I could improve this for vintage cards, and it could possibly reflect as well for modern as well. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of go over some of my initial thoughts. I do see a way of possibly building out a formula based around this, where you can kind of standardize this and give it a score, but there's a lot of testing involved with that and variables. But I'm going to share my screen and kind of show some of my research, and a little bit involves this Alk line. So I'll show you that in a second. So first, I go to my Market Movers account. So I'm going to put this over here for my collection, so you guys can see some of the cards. I haven't fully filled it out yet, but this Alk line is one over here. Again, you want to chart this card, click that, and you'll find all this information over here with that. But I go over here to the ratios, and the first thing I see is the population count, 524. Dollar per pop count is 286 for this PSA 6. Last average sales price was $1,500. But there's a lot more involved with it, because if you take a look at some of these other grades as well over here, we'll add on over here 5, 4, 3, 2, and then we'll add in a 7. And also go over to the ratios. You'll see over here, they're kind of scattered all over the place. You see that there's a 6 ratio for the 7, which is a pops 337. Then at a PSA 5, the ratio is $1.38. And then for the 4, it's $1. I shouldn't say dollar, but 138, 126, 109, 153. So there's some, I mean, like we can see it going up a little bit, but it starts high, then goes low and goes up higher. Now, the issue with this, what happens is a lot of people on lower grade cards or on vintage cards are just sending in cards sometimes to get slabbed. So if you're like PSA 1s or your authentic cards, people don't really care about the numerical grade and will just send it in. Sometimes what happens with these mid grades, the 2s, 3s, and 4s, people are going to keep those raws. It's the type of stuff that you're going to find at card shows and you're going to be able to buy from a showcase. That sometimes people do send in grading, but a lot of people want to keep it raw, whether they want to have it in a set or whatever they want to do with the card. A lot of vintage people don't actually believe in grading. As weird as it sounds, a lot of people hate, quote unquote, the plastic that surrounds it, the plastic coffin. They absolutely hate grading. So with a lot of these mid grades, it's kind of skewed, because you see with the 2, how the price per pop, and it really shows over here on this Yogi Berra, for example. So another card I had here in my collection, but you can see the 3, 4, 5, the price valuation. So a PSA 3 is 622 price, PSA 4 is 655. Then you get to a 5, it all the way to 1250. But you're looking at the price per, it's 448, 228, and 356. And you look at the pop, it goes from 175 to 287 to 256. So if you look just directly at the price per, it's kind of skewed just because of how the pop reports are with vintage. Now, I was trying to figure out a good way to really analyze this. One thing I did find right before I go into that is looking over here for the price per. It's a good way to determine if it's worth upgrading your card. So with this alkaline right here, I have a 6, and the 6 right now is $1,500. A 7 is only $2,000, which I say only, it's a lot of money, but it's a $500 upgrade to upgrade this card to a 7. Now we look at the pop, there's only 337 7s compared to 524 6s, and you see the price per is 601 compared to 286. So if I had the opportunity to upgrade this to a 7 for $500, I would, because it's a much scarcer card. And on top of it, there's not that big of a jump as comparison, like with Yogi Berra between a 4 and a 5, how it literally doubles the price. Here, you're only looking at $500 compared to 15, which is a 33% increase. But where I think this could really improve on is looking at the total pop and looking at the pop either above or below, building it out into a formula, because that way you can look at the percentile side of things. So I took a look at alkaline and I built out everything from an A as authentic to a PSA 10, taking a look at the pop. So you can see how it skews out. You had 25 authentics. Again, authentics are cards that are like, they could be wrinkled, they could have tears, like rips through the card, or they could be altered. So that's why they get the A authentic grade. Again, lower grades here, 105 1s, 261 2s, 381. Obviously, mid grades, there's a ton. And then it drops off at the very top with only one PSA 10, 29s. So really, you're not going to get these 9s or 10s. They're in private collections. Your best luck is some of these 8s or 7s, which there's not much. But why I like looking at the pop at or below, you know how many additional cards there is up there. You kind of know your score and also the percentile. So what I did is, instead of the normal price per pop, I took the price per pop at or above. So I took this price over here at 27,000 all the way to 318, grab these numbers from Market Movers. And then I also looked at the pop at or above, and I divided these out. So we're taking a look at now the price at the pop at or above it. So you can see, for example, this 27,000 over here turns out to be 1285, which is really, really expensive. But you can see how big of a jump it is from 4,800 to 27,000 between a 9 and an 8. Again, only 29s compared to 181 8s. If you look at the pop at or above, there's 202 cards that are a PSA 8 or above for alkaline. So that's why you're at 2376. Next one over here at 376. But you look at the pop at or above, it's just 539. And then you look at $1.41 and you have 1,000 at or above, which is my PSA 6. But again, it shows you, like, for the value of the cost to upgrade it, you're looking at $225 to go from something as 1,000 of these out here to only 500. Half of the pop is only 7 compared to 6. So it's worth it to upgrade. Where I really think this helps out on the vintage cards is if you're trying to decide whether to stick with a grade or spend money to try to upgrade that card to a higher grade. Because as cards get higher grades in vintage, they scale a lot faster in velocity with their value in the long run. So your 7 is going to increase in value faster than a PSA 6 or a PSA 5. So it should be your goal to continuously to upgrade your collection. However, you have to factor in the cost as well. If you have to spend double or triple the cost of a card to upgrade it to another grade, it's not worth it. You might want to go out there and buy another card that you think is a good possible investment. Instead, if you can upgrade to that next level and you spend a little bit more capital, it's worth it. And that's where I really like using this number. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Next week, we're going to be looking at quarterbacks and trying to see if we can compare quarterbacks that played in the 60s and 70s to the modern QBs of today. No idea what that's going to look like, because the football has changed so much in the past few decades, but we're going to try our best to make those evaluations.
Sounds good. Catch you guys on the next episode of Moneyball Cards.
Stay there.